Hello and welcome to Legit Info Lit, where we protect democracy by empowering information consumers. Today we will discuss one of the most prevalent reasons why people have lost faith in news and information, misinformation, and its nefarious brother, disinformation. No! Our objectives today are to learn what misinformation is, the forms it can take, and how intent turns misinformation into the destructive parasite called disinformation. But first, we want to offer a special thanks to our source, the News Literacy Project, and their stellar news literacy program, Checkology.
Okay, critical thinkers. In our previous episode, we discussed the 6 information zones and their purposes: news to inform, opinion to persuade, entertainment to entertain, advertisement to sell, propaganda to provoke, and raw information to document. Misinformation can fall into multiple zones, but once the intent of misinformation becomes purposeful, not simply a joke or accident, then it is called disinformation. Disinformation is a direct threat to our democracy and the peace in our nation. Confused? Don't worry. It's time to pause and get centered. Now that you have cleared your mind of worries and cobwebs, it's time to learn more about misinformation and disinformation. Misinformation pollutes our digital environment, impacts our choices and actions like voting or choosing which school to attend or which neighborhood to live in. It also impacts our relationships, like when Uncle Hal gets red in the face at Thanksgiving dinner because you dispute what his favorite talk radio host has to say about immigration. Things can get ugly. When we are misinformed, we lose credibility in discussions, or worse, we spread the misinformation to others. Now, sometimes being misinformed is due to user error, meaning the information consumer misunderstands the intent of the content. There is a lot of comedy out there on the internet, and some of it looks a lot like truth. Satire is commonly mistaken for actual news or fact. Satire is the use of humor or exaggeration to critique or mock a person, organization, or policy. Satire is not meant to be misinformation.
Huh?
So now you might be thinking, if something isn't meant to misinform you, then how can it be misinformation? Well, let's take a look at this example. This article states, experts warn climate-related food shortages may require bugs to overcome taboos against eating Americans. And the text discusses how insects should not be worried about eating American humans. Now, this example is pretty obviously funny, but imagine how confused someone might be if they didn't know The Onion is a comedic source. The Onion is a satirical site. Their motto is Tu stultus es, which is Latin for you are dumb. Unfortunately, with satire, if someone doesn't understand that the content is a joke, then they can become misinformed. And what is one of the greatest dangers a misinformed person poses? Forwarding, retweeting, direct messaging, or any other possible way of spreading misinformation like a disease. Okay. So satire is unintentional when it misinforms, but not everything out there is so innocuous. One of the sneakiest, nastiest, most overt forms of misinformation is called false context. False context is a form of disinformation because it intentionally tries to deceive you.
Huh?
Oh yes, false context takes an image, quote, or other piece of content and puts it into a new, inaccurate setting so that it can be incorrectly understood and assessed, and so that the original meaning is deceptively changed. You may be asking yourself, why would someone want to deceive me? Well, Take a look at the overwhelming evidence provided by human history, and if that doesn't convince you that not everyone has good intentions, take a look at this example. The article states, "Are white people being assaulted at showings of Black Panther?" And then it's posted on Snopes. Snopes is an online fact-checking site. They debunk misinformation. Like this viral post. Someone actually took a Flickr picture of a bloody paper towel back from 2009 and used it as false evidence that they were assaulted by young Black people at a Black Panther premiere in 2018. The intention of this post is to cause racial discord and stir up hateful feelings. This is the danger of disinformation. Okay, for a quick recap. Misinformation can be unintentional, like satire, or intentional, like false context. When misinformation is intentional, it is called disinformation. Mis and disinformation have the power to cause great damage. They influence how we think, the choices we make, and our personal relationships. It's up to you to be information literate and get the facts before coming to a conclusion. Well, that's all the time we have today for expanding our minds with legit info lit. Remember, before you share it, question it, analyze it, verify it.